Hello everyone, welcome back to the layout. This video is going to cover the June 2022 layout update. I know I did not do a layout update for May 2022, and that is because, well, there weren't many things that happened, but this month there are actually quite a lot of new things that happened, so let's get to that right now. So first off is this brand new Norfolk and Western Scale Train Kit Classic Hopper. I picked this up at Georgia's Trains during their 60th anniversary event. As you can see, I'm actually using it for a work train that I'm modeling for CN. Right now it's just carrying some scrap rail, but I will definitely fill it up with some other stuff. And it's the exact same thing as my Soo-Line gondola, just different paint schemes. This one's a Soo-Line and this one's a Norfolk and Western. Also something new this layout is this brand new hopper that I'm painting up. This used to be an ACFX center flow hopper. I'm sure you guys probably remember, it's that green one. But basically I didn't really like that paint scheme that much, so I threw on some gray paint, and it's basically going to be one of those leasing hoppers that you see all the time with like the X at the end of the reporting mark, like ALNX. Something like that. As you can see, the trucks are already weathered, couplers are already on. I'm just waiting for decals to come in and it should be all good. And also an update on the CP rail locomotive that I was painting. It's actually going back to a Norfolk Southern. I've changed my mind on the locomotive and I already ordered some Norfolk Southern decals. They are already here. I'm just waiting for some final touch-ups to the paint. It's going to be a Norfolk Southern Operation Lifesaver locomotive. It's going to turn out really cool, I hope. I'm hoping. And it will be probably done by this month, like the cosmetics, but not the LED lighting. Another new thing I've gotten, by which you may have realized, is these two new lights. Now these are LED light bars, and they're actually a lot brighter than the old LED light pot lights there. And it just really brightens up the whole layout in the front and in the back too. Before, this area was pitch black here, you couldn't see anything, but now the whole area is really bright. So I'm glad I got these lights for the layout. And also they are wireless, which is the best part. I can control the brightness here. As you can see, it's getting dimmer, or it can go full brightness. And there's also timer settings too. Also this month I have been doing quite a bit of graffiti with my freight cars, so here are just a few of the many freight cars that I tagged. This one here is probably one of my favorite. I just wish I'd put the graffiti a bit lower near the stripes. I'm not sure why I put it up there, but it's alright. And also back here are a few hoppers that I added some graffiti to. As you can see, this one has two markings here and some nice weathering. It's just got the simple black sort of stains that you can see on these cars very often. And this one is very heavily weathered, very dirty, and it's got 3 markings on it, which I think looks pretty cool. I also started off on a new scene here in the yard. This is basically a bridge scene that goes over this sort of like dirt pit here. I had this old Bachman bridge laying around and I decided, why not use it? And up here you can see some graffiti I put on. And right here, this is where I did lots of work on. I painted all the ties a sort of natural looking color instead of black. I took out the inner plastic guardrails that used to be there. And I took out the code 100 track and replaced it with code 83 track. As you can see, I had to bend the track for the inner guardrails, and it actually came out really well. And I don't know if you can see, but the track has been rusted. You can probably see from this angle here. And just needs a few more weathering in some areas and it'll be good to go. And right here, these abutments on both sides also need to be painted a grayish thing and sort of be sanded down to simulate concrete piers, I guess. And over here we've got a maintenance worker and some bin bags here that I custom made. And over here in the yard we can see, well, it's actually coming together. So right here we've got the track that leads straight into the locomotive facility. So trains would come in from the northbound main track. They'd come straight through up this yard ladder here and straight onto this track. Depending on how many locomotives they have, they would come in and then they would reverse back in to the yard there for their maintenance, either head in or dead in tow. And I also used different ballast, not wheel and scenics ballast, which I will show you very soon. This is basically polymeric sand, which I got from Home Depot. A friend of mine was using this on his layout, and I looked at it and I was like, that actually looks really good. That looks quite a lot like ballast. So I decided to pick up a bag at Home Depot. It's really cheap, $20 for this massive bag. It's about 35 pounds. And you can see it looks actually pretty good. It looks really natural, and it works around your switches very well, which is good. There is absolutely no jamming at all on the switches. As you can see, they move fine. You just have to clean them up a bit. But overall, this stuff is a very cheap alternative for expensive wheel and scenics ballast if you're on a budget. And since I didn't want to have to buy probably 6 containers of it, I decided just to go with this. And over here is actually the bag of polymeric sand. So right here is just easy sand. Make sure you get the gray one, not the tan one. But this is basically used for interlocking and stuff. And it's actually completely safe for your model railroad. Your locomotive will not be damaged from it. And you can see it's pretty fine. So it's kind of like Woodland Scenic's fine ballast. And over here we can see I've got all the main lines actually running. The inner track just needs a bit of work, but the outer track is fitted with 22 to 20 inch radius curves. They're all flex track and they come around just fine. I had a friend help me with it, and you can see they come just around back here. Both tracks are actually completely done, and they come around in the front and all the way back. So basically the main lines are all running. I can operate these pretty big trains on them. This is about a 30-car train, which can be pulled by my locomotives in my yard fairly easily. Now, if you're wondering why I've got a one CP rail locomotive and I'm modeling CN, well, this is sort of like, this layout has been inspired by many places on the CN and CP. So this yard here is basically sort of like an interchange between CN and CP. So CN would come in with their big road freight, they'd organize it into these yards, they'd send them out on other CN trains, but also Canadian Pacific would come into this train with their like switcher locomotives like an SD40-2 or a 2F, and they would come in and take some small local trains out to their yard and have them sent out on other CP trains. And same thing works both ways. I've also done some scenery work this month. As you can see, I've got my 2 railroad crossings up. These kits I had to have pre-ordered, or I should say ordered in directly from the seller to my hobby shop. And I also made sure these crossing boards were actually done properly, redid them, put them in. They're pretty nice, and this center plate will be redone. But as you can see, I actually made them pretty leveled. As you can see, they're sitting flush with the rails. Before they were not, and they were actually causing a bunch of problems because the wheels contacts would pop up and they would lose contact with the rail. And over here we can see a small maintenance of way work scene here. We got a worker with a shovel, which has cleared out some space for 3 bundles of ties, which I actually made myself. I'll have a card to the video up here if you guys are interested in it. And this is basically all for my CN work train that I'm modeling with all my gondolas. I will be getting more gondolas in the future, so more to be added to this train, but this is basically a CN work train. As you can see right here, we've got some rail spikes, we've got a new piece of concrete track, we've got a bunch of scrap rail ties, which I also made, we've got some scrap rail, some scrap track here, some more ties, some pallets, and a few metal pipes, and some more scrap track. So this is a fairly fun train to model. It was actually really fun making all the loads for the gondolas. And basically, I usually pair them up to any of these CN locomotives here. I've got a few more on the way in the future, but this is what I basically run them with. And I'd also like to mention a few models that I'm selling. So right now I'm actually selling the CB&Q Boxcar. It's for auto parts. If any of you guys are interested in this Boxcar, I'll have a link in the description to my ad on Facebook Marketplace. But just DM me if you are interested, and we can probably work something out. And this is not the only freight car I have this month. I am also selling my Atlas Trainman Plus 85-foot flat car. If any of you guys are interested in it, this thing has only been run a few times on the layout. It hasn't been run much. It's still in the original box. It's for a trash container train. So basically, if you want like a flat car for like trash containers, this would be perfect. This is also on Facebook. I'll have a link to it in the description too. And that is actually basically all there is for this month. As you can see, quite a few changes to the layout. New things have been added. Things have been taken out. I've got all my switches in. All of them are powered, completely wired, which is very good. So my layout is completely operable now. I've glued down all the ballast everywhere. All of it is solid and glued down. And basically, there's a few more things I need to get done to the layout and a few new things coming in. There will be a few auto racks coming in next month, which is kind of unfortunate because I wished I had gotten them in before for this video, but that's alright. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of the June 2022 layout update. I'll have a few clips of trains running on the layout right after this, but for now, thank you all so much for watching.